Welcome to The Way of Creative Wisdom, a podcast where we explore the intersection of ancient insights, creative design, and transformative innovation. In a world driven by artificial intelligence, it's easy to feel lost in a sea of information. We're here to help you navigate these complexities by drawing on the enduring wisdom of the past and applying it to the challenges of the present. Each episode will offer a unique blend of pragmatic, philosophical ideas, designer stories, and practical approaches to help you unlock your creative potential and make a meaningful impact in the world. Tune in every week as we uncover the transformative power of creative wisdom together.
Ever feel like, you're capable of way more?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this untapped potential inside, just waiting to be unleashed.
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive, it might just hold the key.
Okay.
And it all starts, get this, back in the Renaissance.
Okay.
We're looking at two sources. One is this 15th century speech that shook up Europe's whole intellectual scene.
Wow.
And the other, a modern studio, but they're using, get this, cutting-edge techniques to unlock learning and potential.
Interesting.
And guess what? They're connected.
Really?
In ways you might not expect.
I'm intrigued. It is fascinating how sources that seem so different can be grappling with the same questions about human capability,
Yeah.
even across centuries.
Right.
Okay.
It's wild. Okay. So first up, we got Giovanni Pico della Mirandola. Basically, picture a rock star philosopher, but he's only 24.
Oh, wow.
This guy waltzes into Rome like he owns the place,
Yeah.
ready to debate 900 arguments.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about confidence.
Yeah.
Now, the event, it actually got shut down. But his ideas, especially the ones in his Oration on the Dignity of Man,
Right.
they became super influential.
Yeah, and for good reason. I mean, Pico was challenging this accepted truth that your purpose, your place in the world, it was all predetermined.
Predetermined, yeah.
It's like, nope, throws the doors wide open,
Yeah.
suggests that God, on purpose, created humans without a fixed nature, gives us the power to choose. You want to just be totally immersed in your senses, go for it. But if you want to strive for something more, like the divine through study, contemplation, also an option. It's all on the table.
Okay, so it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
But also kind of daunting.
Oh.
This idea that we're like chameleons.
Right.
We could become almost anything.
Right.
But Pico, he doesn't just throw this out there.
Right.
He cites the Bible, ancient Greek philosophers, even what he calls magic.
Mm.
Now, before you picture pulling rabbits out of hats.
Right, not that kind of magic. Pico's magic was about understanding nature, so deeply you could practically command it.
Whoa.
Super advanced science, almost like technology, but not supernatural.
Okay, so how do we tap into this magic, this potential?
Well, Pico, he gives us a kind of step-by-step. He uses that image of Jacob's ladder from the Bible. Each rung is a higher level of understanding.
I like that.
Yeah. And this is where it gets really interesting. Pico, he outlines a whole curriculum using the tools of his time, obviously.
Right.
He says moral philosophy is crucial, for taming our base instincts.
Right.
While dialectic, that's like debate and reasoning, sharpens our minds.
Okay.
These, he believed, they were essential for natural philosophy.
Natural philosophy. Okay.
Which would eventually lead to theology.
Theology, the study of God.
The highest form of knowledge, he thought.
So it's like an epic quest for self-improvement, right?
Right.
And isn't that what unlocking our full potential is, in a way?
Absolutely. And you know what makes Pico so relevant today? It's that we're also in a time of huge change. Technology, AI, everything's moving so fast. We need ways to adapt and learn to thrive, just like in Pico's time.
It's true. It's like we're all Renaissance people now, whether we signed up for it or not.
Yeah.
Speaking of adapting and thriving, let's shift gears to our second source.
Okay.
SoClab.
SoClab. Yeah.
They're a learning experience design studio.
Learning Experience Design Studio. Interesting. What's really cool about them is they go beyond the old ways of learning.
Okay.
They create what they call transformative learning journeys, recognizing that people need new skills to navigate this world that just won't stop changing.
Totally. They took Pico's chameleon thing and gave it a 21st century makeover.
Right.
They even have this creative wisdom framework. It's a blend of analytical thinking, creativity, ND being tech savvy. It's not just about being smart anymore. You got to know how to use it in a world where the only constant is change.
And that focus on action, that's a big connection to Pico. He always said understanding leads to growth. Spiritual growth, moral growth, it's active.
Oh, totally.
And SOGLAB, they give you the actual tools to make an impact.
It's about turning knowledge into, like, doing something real.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, knowledge is power, but with, like, an extra shot of espresso,
Yeah.
It's not just knowing stuff, it's knowing what to do with it.
Yes. Creating, building, shaping your reality.
So we've got both sources emphasizing action, but how do they actually get you there?
Right.
SOGLAB uses, like, workshops, right?
They do. And in those workshops, we see those echoes of Pico, actually.
Really?
They have workshops on design thinking.
Design thinking.
Okay.
It's a problem-solving method.
Yeah.
Lots of empathy, experimenting, trying again and again.
So understanding people's needs, brainstorming solutions, it's almost like Pico's moral philosophy. But instead of just being good, it's about doing good for the world. Am I right?
Exactly. And remember how Pico was all about dialectic, that back and forth, refining your ideas through debate?
Yeah.
So GLAB does that too, but with testing and refining ideas through prototyping feedback, they take an idea out of your head and put it into the real world. Kind of like those Renaissance thinkers testing their theories against, well, nature. I love that these ideas, they just like transcend time. It's amazing. Pico, he's got this grand vision of what humans can be, right?
Yeah.
And SOGLAB, they take those same principles and give us the concrete tools, the methods to actually thrive today.
It's like they gave us a Renaissance toolkit, but for the digital age.
In that toolkit, it's more important than ever.
Think about it. Pico's writing during the Renaissance, right?
Right.
That was a time of massive upheaval, change, rediscovering ancient knowledge, challenging everything. Sound familiar?
Are you kidding? We are living in the remix era. Things are changing so fast, it's dizzying, everyone's trying to figure out where they fit in, it's exciting, but overwhelming too. Like this Renaissance folks realizing the world was way bigger than they thought.
It's true. And that's where Pico's wisdom can really ground us.
Ground us, yeah.
Because he reminds us that this capacity for change, for growth, that's fundamentally human.
We're not meant to be static. We're designed to adapt, learn, evolve.
Become more.
He even called humans intermediaries between the physical and spiritual realms. I mean, okay, that might sound a little, well, Renaissance-y.
Right.
But SOGLAB kind of echoes it too, don't they? Bridging knowledge and action, theory, and real-world application.
Exactly. It's about taking all this information, this explosion of knowledge, and turning it into something meaningful, something that helps us make better decisions, create positive change. That's creative wisdom. It's bigger than just being smart.
It's connecting your analytical skills, that creative spark, and actually understanding how tech works so you can bring your ideas to life. It makes you wonder, what would your version of Pico's Oration on the Dignity of Man be like today?
What unique gifts can you bring to this crazy, ever-changing world?
What question?
And just like Pico urged people to be winged lovers of theology, constantly seeking knowledge.
Right.
Maybe we can all be winged learners, always curious, always evolving, finding new knowledge and using it in new ways.
Winged learners. I love that. It's that feeling of possibility, that drive to always grow, to understand more, blending the wisdom of the past with today's tools to create something new, something better.
It always comes back to unlocking that potential within, just like Pico said we could over 500 years ago. So we're back, and let's talk about making these big ideas work in our everyday lives. It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind, right? Like we're always playing catch up.
Totally. It's like this treadmill. Emails, notifications, deadlines. You lose sight of the bigger picture.
And that's exactly why we have to remember, like, the power of being intentional. Pico, he believed we have the free will to shape our path, you know, to choose who we become.
It's like that saying, best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is now. Never too late to start, right? No matter what.
Exactly. And Pico had his path. Philosophy, theology, even magic for his time. But SOGLAB, they offer a modern roadmap. Design thinking, tech skills, human-centered solutions, the whole package.
Okay, so how do we take this amazing, inspiring stuff and make it real? Like, what's the Tuesday afternoon version of becoming one of those winged learners?
Good question. Well, think back to Pico's thing about moral philosophy, taming the beast within. Maybe today a big part of that is how we handle technology.
Ooh, interesting. Because our phones, they're like these tiny little portals to endless distraction.
Exactly. So a practical step. Set boundaries around your tech, maybe specific times for social media, for email, and then protect your time for focused work or, being creative. Pico talked about aligning with this divine order of the universe. What if our divine order now is about being intentional with our attention? Choose how we engage with all this digital stuff instead of letting it run the show.
It's like they say, right? If you don't control your tech, it controls you.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Pico's thing about taming lions and serpents, way more relatable. Who knew a philosopher from the 1400s understood our Instagram struggles?
Right. And just like Pico was big on contemplation, self-reflection, maybe we need that too. But in this digital age, what are our strengths, weaknesses? What kind of digital citizens are we, really?
Ooh, good one. Like holding up a mirror to our online selves. Are we using these amazing tools to actually learn, grow, connect? Or are we turning into, to use Pico's word, beasts, consumed by all this negativity and distraction?
Honestly, it's probably a bit of both sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But the key is being aware of it, recognizing our own tendencies, and then making a choice. How do we want to show up in this digital space? Just like those people reading Pico's work, stepping into a world of crazy new discoveries, we're navigating uncharted territory, too, this whole digital age.
Our own renaissance, in a way. We get to decide what it means to be human in this crazy, complex, tech-driven world.
And maybe, just like Pico challenged his audience to become those winged lovers of theology, always searching for knowledge, maybe we can all be those winged learners in our own ways.
Love that image, those winged learners. It's all about that curiosity, that drive to keep learning, and then finding cool, creative ways to actually use what we've learned.
Exactly. Unlocking that potential within, which is what Pico was saying we could do, like over 500 years ago. Now, let's get practical. Remember how dialectic was important to how Pico thought we should learn? All about discourse, debate, going back and forth to really understand.
Yeah. And you said that's kind of like what SOGLab does with their workshops, all that prototyping and feedback. And modernized dialectic, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even though they use it in this very structured way, we can all use that core idea. It's about taking the leap, going from just thinking about something to actually trying it out.
So it's less about having all the answers and more about being brave enough to experiment, to maybe even mess up, and then learning from it. Because let's be real, sometimes the best way to learn IS to just dive in and see what happens.
It's true. Sometimes you gotta just go for it. That's where that whole winged learner idea really takes off, that willingness to experiment,
Right.
Not being afraid to try, even if it might not work, because you learn even when you fail.
Oh, 100%. Fail fast, fail forward.
Yeah.
It's not about never messing up. It's about using those mistakes.
Exactly. Now, think back to Pico's whole curriculum for unlocking potential. He was really into natural philosophy. Back then, that was all about how the natural world worked.
Right, right.
Today, it's more like having some scientific literacy, being curious about the world, how things work, that kind of thing.
Which, with tech changing so fast, is more important than ever, right? It's like we have to be lifelong learners these days. Always got to be adapting, learning new stuff.
And doesn't that connect back to SOGLab perfectly? They're not just teaching you one skill. It's this framework for always learning, always adapting. It's about nurturing that winged learner inside all of us, ready to, fly off to new heights of understanding.
Okay, that visual is awesome. Our winged learners soaring around in this huge world of information possibilities. Like, whoa, we can do way more than we think we can,
Absolutely. And the coolest part, it's never too late. Just like Pico when he was, 24? Challenging everyone and everything. We can all choose to be those winged learners no matter where we are in life.
So to everyone listening, here's something to think about. If you were writing your own oration on the dignity of man for right now, what would you say? What makes you you? What are you passionate about? What can you bring to the table in this wild world?
What are you going to build with that potential you've got?
Keep asking those questions, keep diving deep, and keep those wings spread wide. Until next time.